Hey there, welcome back to the DFS Build MLB edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over the main slate at DraftKings for Tuesday. It's been a long break for me personally. Summertime and vacation, that is a hell of a drug, that collection for sure. So we're going to get back into it, hopefully help you win. Breaking down the games here. If we do help you in any way, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also consider joining our Patreon/Discord, just $5.99 a month for all of our picks and stacks for MLB, and of course, everything else that we cover. All right, let's get into it. First game here, we have the Braves visiting the Mets. Spencer Strider, obviously massive K upside, 29% whiff rate, gives up power to the left side. So that's possibly problematic against a good Mets team that had a bunch of dongs in their last series against the Phillies. And they have, 3, 4, 5, 6 lefties to throw at Strider. So I think Strider is certainly in play because he's Spencer Strider, but it's not really the spot I personally want to target him at. I think at 10K you can go after the strikeout upside and possibly low ownership. Let's see where he's at right now. Yeah, 10% ownership or 15%. Sorry. So he's not a chalky pitcher on this slate. People are going more for Crochet, Freddie Peralta, and Framber Valdez. So I do tend to prefer those guys. But if you want to just go get and pretty much unowned Strider in a tough matchup, I don't have a problem with it. Not really going to go out of my way to pick on him because it's a 12-game slate. I think we can just do other things. Like, you're not getting much leverage. He's only 10% owned. And it's like the Mets might get a couple dongs here. I think I would just go solo here or a mini stack at best. So you can go get Lindor, you can go get Nemo, you can go get Soto. That's probably where my interest lies. I think Pete Alonso is obviously always good for a homer. But Strider does a really good job against righties in terms of power prevention, and he strikes them out more. So mostly sticking from the left side, either a mini 3-man stack or just going one-offs with the Mets. But overall, not really interested in that side of this matchup. Frankie Montas making his debut. Decent real-life pitcher still, just not a really good DFS guy. His numbers against righties were pretty damn good last year, though. Very large sample size, too, so we can definitely trust that. Numbers against lefties, not so great. That's not encouraging against the Braves, who do have quite a few lefties here. I think up to 5 that they can throw at him. And then, obviously, if you want to do full Brave stacks, you can round it out with Acuna, Ozuna, Riley. Like, Brave stack looks totally fine. I don't have a problem with it. They come in with a healthy 4.88 implied run total. So if you want to go do that tonight, I don't take issue with it. Certainly don't want to play Frankie Montas against the Braves. So if anything really stands out here for me, it's going to be the Braves. Yankees at Reds. Carlos Rodon taking on the Reds. It is not a good park, but he pitches in Yankee Stadium and gets away with it. Usually, high strikeout upside here, 29.5% K rate on the year. Not really going to walk lefties, not giving up power to lefties. All of his issues come against the right side. So we're looking at Matt McLain, De La Cruz, Stevenson, Steer. If Steer can ever hit lefties again, he's been terrible this year. They do have quite a few righties here, though. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 projected righties in the lineup. It's not like a murderer's row of righties. So it's like Rodon could certainly just eat here, no doubt about it. And he's coming in at what's his price? 10.7K. His projection is not good, and his ownership isn't out of control because it's a bad park and not really the best splits matchup here. I think he's a little bit interesting in tournaments just because we know he has massive upside and he's not going to be super owned, but I just don't think it's really the most ideal spot. Tough park. He's facing a shit ton of righties, so not super into him based on the price and that. The Yankees, I do have interest in. It's a day that ends in Y, so the Yankees have a really high implied run total, 5.26. They're facing a very talented prospect, Chase Burns, making his debut. And it could just go either way. Obviously, the Yankees have really nice run total, implied run total here. And we know they're the Yankees, so they can match anybody. I tend to usually want to use the righties against lefties, but you can use everybody here against Chase Burns if you want to. The debut is either going to go like the Yankees have been kind of poopy every time we want to use them. And then when we get off to New York, they go nuts. So overall, the past 2 weeks, they have not been great. So I would not be super surprised if Chase Burns comes out and has a pretty good outing here. That said, it's all green from the Yankee side, and it's a pitcher that has never played here. So if you want to go fire up the Yankees, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. They have one of the highest implied run totals of the entire slate, and Chase Burns has a very low projection. On the flip side, the Yankees do strike out, and the Yankees have not been very good lately. So if you want to take a shot on Chase Burns, what's his price? Let's see. Is he even in the pitcher pool? I thought he was. Yes, he is. I don't see him on Roto Grinders here, but Chase Burns, 8K. Like as an SP2, I think it's okay. Like if you're not going to play the Yankees and the Yankees end up being kind of chalky, I think it's an okay try for sure. All right, let's move on here. I don't mind the Yankees, but if they're going to be chalky, I don't mind getting away from them either. All right, Arizona against the White Sox. Ryan Nelson taking on Chicago. Chicago's projected lineup does have some whiffs in it, so Ryan Nelson actually is somewhat in play for me. His price, I don't think, is out of control. So, yeah, 6.5. That's nice. Like, I don't mind Ryan Nelson as an SP2 at all. We know the White Sox are better than they used to be, but they got a good amount of lefties here. He's done a good job against lefties. Does not have like a staggering K rate. He's only going to strike guys out like 19-20% of the time. Does give up power to the right side, but usually I like to use the White Sox righties against southpaws. And that's not the situation here. So I don't really have much interest in Chicago bats unless Ryan Nelson's ownership gets out of control. And right now he is, I don't see his ownership here. His projection is not like egregious though. So that's like 13 fantasy points. So I don't know. I don't really think he's going to be crazy owned. I think he's looking like a really good SP2. At minimum, you're looking at saving salary, and it's a good matchup. So I think we can play that game. It is dicey in Chicago's park for sure, but I think Ryan Nelson looks pretty good. I don't have much interest in the White Sox. On the other side, Jordan Leisure, I don't even know if I pronounced that name correctly, but his numbers don't look good on the right side at all, and obviously he's facing Arizona. Usually you want to attack Arizona from the left side with Marte, and you got Naylor, and you have Corbin Carroll. He's not even in the projected lineup, though, so keep an eye on that. I don't think – let me see. Let me double-check his status. Yeah, he's out, actually, because he missed a bunch of the games in the White Sox series or the Coors series, and he's on the 10-day injured list. Okay, so he's not going to play. That damages Arizona's lineup a little bit for sure, but Arizona still looks good. Arizona has a really nice 4.82 implied run total. It is a good hitter's park, and this is not a guy by the numbers that we should be super, super afraid of. So very, very high walk rate, giving up a lot of power to the right side. So, I mean, I'm still going to throw in Marte in there because he can bat from the right side as well. And if you want to complete the stacks with Naylor or, even Pavin Smith or something, I think that's okay too. So Diamondbacks look really good. I think they're a solid option for sure. Tampa Bay against KC. This is a fairly pitcher-friendly park. Taj Bradley in his last game went nuts. What did he do? I remember trying to gain leverage against him, and he definitely crushed. He looks viable at 7.2. Well, no, he got dominated in his last outing. That's what I'm remembering. So leverage did work out on him actually the last time out. A few games ago, he had like 32 fantasy points. Taj Bradley, you really never know what you're going to get. But 7.2K for Taj Bradley as an SP2. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. The only problem is KC doesn't really strike out. 17% whip rate. They do have a talented lineup, but it is a pitcher-friendly park. I don't think Bradley's going to be a priority for me, but I think based on the park and his price, I think he's an okay play. Don't really have a lot of interest in the Royals. If you wanted to, you want to start from the left side because that's where he's given up most of his damage on the year. Does not have a high strikeout rate. He is walking people. He does give up power from the left side, but this park is kind of going to keep that in check. Chris Bubich on the other side taking on the Rays. Rays get a massive park downgrade. Bubich is really good from the right side, pretty good from the left. He's had a good year. Just pretty decent pitcher here. So, the Rays are very righty heavy, and that profiles very poorly for them in this matchup. So zero interest in Tampa Bay. The only interest with Chris here is I think he's kind of pricey. Now 9K, actually not too bad. I thought I remember seeing him at like 10 something, but no, considering all these other aces are very, very expensive and, deservedly so. I think he's really interesting in tournaments. Only 10% owned right now. So he is definitely on my radar. He's at the end of my pitcher pool, but I do like him and I like that price. And the matchup looks really good. All right, Seattle against the Twins. Luis Castillo taking on the Twins here. He's very bad against lefties. Very low strikeout rate, very high walk rate, gives up some power, a lot of hard contact. So, I historically love targeting the Twins against righty pitchers. I think that's going to be an okay stance here. It's just the only problem is, I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought this game was in Seattle. It's in Minnesota, so that's actually good for the hitting. I do not like Castillo here. I think the Twins could actually get to him quite a bit. Castillo's price, let's see, where is he? Some of these guys are missing from this field. There he is. Okay, so 15 fantasy points, not too bad. He's in the top 10 for projection on the slate, 8.2K. So I think price and projection keep Castillo in play. But the Twins do have a good amount of power. They do have some lefties to throw at them. It's not the best park for pitching, and they don't have a very high strikeout rate. So if I had to pick a side here, it would be Twins. They're coming in with a 4.25 implied run total, so it's not like I'm like running to play the Twins on a 12-game slate, but if I had to pick a side, that's where I'd be going. Chris Paddock on the other side, I want nothing to do with Chris Paddock against the Mariners. I think you could argue, like the Mariners of old, when they're striking out like crazy, you could go get Chris Paddock if the game were in Seattle, but the game's in Minnesota, and the Mariners are not striking out, and they have a lot of power to throw at them. So you can obviously always do a one-off with Cal Raleigh, or you can go fire up a full stack because Paddock is, he's really a bit of a gas can. So he's coming in with an 11-point fantasy projection at 6.6K. Some people might feel drawn to him as an SP2. This just isn't the spot for it. The strikeouts and the park factor are not there for me. So I'm big-time Mariners in that matchup. Andrew Heaney taking on the Brewers in Milwaukee. Heaney, really bad reverse splits here against lefties on the year. 286 ISO, 15% K rate. Just not good, man. So not really good at all for him. Brewers have quite a few righties to throw at him. So if you're looking at traditional splits from the Brewers side, it looks good, but it actually could set up poorly for them if they don't end up playing a good amount of lefties here. Just on the year, though, like not really super encouraging numbers for them against lefties. I don't love Heaney here, but I don't really like Milwaukee either. Pittsburgh does get a little bit of a park upgrade, but they are facing Freddie Peralta. He walks lefties a little bit, but that's the only really bad thing in his profile. They do have a lot of lefties to throw at him, so it could be bad. There's 1, 2, 3. No, they don't have a lot of lefties. Only 3 lefties. I thought they did, but I think they have a couple other guys they could throw in there, so they could get up to like 5. But as it stands with the projected lineup, not super imposing, so I'm definitely going Freddie here. I like the price. 9.2, really good price for him at home. He's been balling at home all year. Second best projection of the slate. The only real bummer with Freddie is he's going to be owned. But based on the price and the matchup, the Twins are not imposing on the year. Freddie Peralta grades out as a very, very good pitcher. Jameson Taillon taking on the Cardinals in St. Louis, Pitcher Park. I think he's okay. Cardinals do not strike out a lot. In general, they're not like really scary to face. He's not a priority, but I don't really want to play the Cardinals either. Michael McGreevy on the other side. Small sample size this year, but he's getting lit up by lefties in terms of power, but he is striking them out and he's not walking anybody at all. But I'm not going to play him against the Cubs. We know what the Cubs can do. They have massive upside. The Cubs come in with a 4.5 implied run total, so they can do a lot of damage with power, and even when the power is not there. So you can definitely fire up the Cubs. I think on a 12-game slate, they're not like really standing out just because, it's a pitcher-friendly park, and they get a park downgrade in general here. So I think you play the Cubs, especially if they're going to be overlooked. It's just not a priority for me. Philly taking on Houston. Ranger Suarez taking on the Astros. I mean, Ranger always grades out really well. He just doesn't give up anything. He doesn't walk anybody. He doesn't give up power. His strikeout rate's decent. Not really particularly against righties, which is a bit of a downgrade here because Houston only has righties to throw at him. But I'm not playing Astros because nothing else looks good for them in this setting, and it's a pitcher-friendly park. So I think Ranger's okay. His price at where is he? 9.7 feels a little bit steep. I think that with the other guys, like within striking distance of like 1 and 1.5K or so, I'd rather just play some of the other guys up top. I think Ranger is still in the player pool, kind of in the same vein as a Spencer Strider or a Bubich or Peralta is definitely in the player pool. But you know what I'm saying? Like in that price range, I think he's okay. I just don't think there's massive strikeout upside there. So I'm just not really going to go out of my way to do it. I just don't really want to play the Astros either. Framber Valdez does look good in theory. Good strikeout rate this year for both sides. Not much like Ranger, not giving up much. Not crazy walks, not giving up power. Big park downgrade for Phillies. Still don't have Bryce Harper. So I think it's okay. I think it's going to be an unconventional thing to do just because the Phillies do have a lot of power. They're tough to navigate. He's coming in with 23% ownership, 9.5K. I mean, it's the Phillies, man. Like the Phillies can still mess around. So if he's going to be chalky, I don't mind going after the Phillies a little bit and kind of leveraging into that. I don't want to go crazy with it because it's not a good spot, but I don't really feel excited to eat 23% chalk Valdez either. On the other side, Justin Robleski. I feel like this is an opener game. Yeah, he's not projected for anything at 5.5K, so he's off limits, which is a shame because obviously the Rockies are a great matchup. Rockies actually still are viable just because it's in Coors. So we always know that's the case. Whether Robleski gets stretched out a little bit here or not, or whether the Rockies just face LA's endless string of elite rotational arms here. The Rockies are still in play just because of Coors. I just don't think it's a really good spot. This is not like the spot for me to take a stance on the Rockies. I think it's Coors, you can do it. I'm just not going to do it. Dodgers in Coors. This is what we've all been waiting for, right? They get to face Germán Marquez, low strikeout rate, walks lefties a little bit at 8.6%. He is giving up power now. It wasn't really the issue before. Like earlier in the year, he wasn't walking anybody, not giving up any power, but he still didn't strike anybody out. So per usual, you don't want to play Germán Marquez, and you do want to play the Dodgers. The only issue at all with LA is going to be ownership. 7.05 implied run total. Dodgers look amazing. Just maybe get different with your stacks, or just get very different with whatever else you do. Like, fire up the Dodgers and then punt with some secondary stack, and then maybe don't go up for the expensive pitchers, or get one expensive pitcher and come down and use a guy that nobody is on. Might need to get a little bit lucky with your secondary stack and your SP2 if you're going to fire up the Dodgers, or try to mix in, go get Ohtani or something, because Ohtani and Coors, I don't know how we get around that. Go get Ohtani and then go get a lot of these punt Dodgers that are cheaper. All right, Boston in LA taking on the Angels. Garrett Crochet taking on the Halos here. 28% collective whiff rate for the Angels. One of their new guys in here, Campero, that kind of elevates a little bit, but still, the numbers are the numbers, man. They're going to strike out. It is a hitter's park, but I'm not really that concerned. Crochet has a monstrous strikeout rate. Doesn't really walk people that bad. Doesn't give up a lot of power. You do have to mind the Angels from the right side. A lot of righty power facing a southpaw here. 213 collective ISO. Crochet is also the highest owned pitcher at 30% right now. I'm going to take the over on that. Even though he's 11K, this just looks like a spot where he's going to completely ice them and dominate. I think you can do a sprinkling of leverage stacks for Halos just because it is a good park for hitting. By the way, here's the other thing. It is hot and humid everywhere. So no pitcher is safe. So if you want to just get monstrous leverage against the field and go attack Crochet with 5-man A stack or Angel stacks, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it's the best way to get there today, but you got Ward, you got Trout, you got O'Hoppe, you got Odell. They have a lot of power from the right side, and it is going to be hot there. Let me actually check if the wind's blowing out there too. Yeah, it is. Not a lot, 6 miles per hour. Well, actually, by the way, I'm sorry. It's only going to be 68 degrees there. Still, I think it's good enough in that park with the wind blowing out a tiny bit that you can consider the Halos. That said, I'm very much on Crochet here. I think he looks like a tough guy to fade in general. Tyler Anderson on the other side taking on the Red Sox. I think it's an okay spot. Obviously not a good matchup, not the best park to pitch in. And the Red Sox actually grade out decently against southpaws. He's been okay on the year. Been really bad against lefties. Nice reverse splits there. And they obviously are not as good in that regard now that they don't have Devers anymore after trading him to the Giants. So kind of both sides if you want to. I don't have a problem with it. Boston's coming in with a 4.67 implied run total. It's a decent park. Tyler Anderson can be had. I'm okay with it. And on the other side, the Boston does strike out, and they're missing one of the best bats they've had all year. So if you want to play Tyler Anderson, that's fine. I think his price at 6.4K, that's SP2 range, and that's fine. Especially if some of these other guys are going to carry a lot of ownership, like Ryan Nelson. If he ends up being the chalk, you could pivot to Tyler Anderson. Certainly would like him more than Chris Paddock. Washington visiting San Diego, still Trevor Williams taking on the Padres. Zero interest in Trevor Williams. You can attack him the best from the left side. They do not strike out, so the Padres look decent here for sure. They have a 5.03 implied run total at home, so they're going to look at pretty good. And with everybody on the Dodgers to start, I think the Padres might go a tiny bit overlooked, which is always nice to close out the night. Ryan Berger taking on the Nationals. He's been pretty good against lefties, and that's where most of their power comes from. So not a super lot of interest in Washington in a pitcher park. Miami against the Giants to close things out. Cal Quantrill, not really the scariest guy to face, but it's a pitcher-friendly park. You can play him if you want to. I think he's really cheap. Let's see. Yeah, 6K flat. Really bad projection. Not super interested in playing him, but it's a pitcher-friendly park. He's really cheap. So if YOLO, if you want to do it, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to go on my way to pick on him because the Giants are kind of, a lot of their best players are coming from the left side, but he is giving up a crap ton of power to righties, and he's not striking righties out at all. So if you want to fire up a Giant stack, it's not the worst thing in the world. And they come in with a 4.59 implied run total too. So pretty good. They could be a little bit of an underrated stack to close out the night. And then JV on the other side against the Marlins. I mean, JV seems pretty washed, and he's old as heck, but he is in a pitcher-friendly park, and the Marlins are the Marlins. They don't really have a high K rate like you would suspect. They also don't have a lot of power, and they get a park, kind of a park downgrade from them. Their park in general also isn't very good for power. But JV is not the tough matchup he used to be. So if JV ends up picking up some steam, I don't think he's going to. He's coming in at 8% ownerships, but he's 7.5K. So I have a little bit of interest in JV as an SP2 here against the Fish, but not like something we have to do. This game in general is probably one I'll cross off my list. Maybe I'll have like a mini Giant stack or something. It's just not a park I generally want to have a lot of exposure to. All right, big 12-game slate. That's all out of the way. I think obviously the interest for the bats starts with the Dodgers, and the interest for the pitchers starts with Crochet and Freddie Peralta. For me, I'm a little bit more interested in Bubic than the field currently is going to be. And then if we're looking at SP2, like right now, ownership aside, I think Ryan Nelson looks like the best SP2 at 6.5, and I'll probably pair him with one of Crochet or Freddie most of the time. I still would keep guys like Valdez and Strider and even Rodon in your pitcher pool just because they have monster upside, and it doesn't look like they're going to, outside of Fromber, it doesn't look like they're going to get a lot of ownership. As far as other stacks, I think there's just a lot of meat on the bone here. There's a lot of interesting ones like Padres. They're not going to be super owned. They look really good at home here. You can always leverage the Dodgers ownership with the Rockies on the other side. Seattle looks good against Chris Paddock. The Braves look good. The Yankees look great. They have the second highest implied run total of the slate. Even without Corbin Carroll, the Diamondbacks look good. So to get my finalized picks and stacks, you can hit up Patreon and Discord, and I'll go there. But hopefully this breakdown helps you out a little bit and pushes you in the right direction. All right. Thanks for watching, and good luck.